and issues that matter. Business, academics, entrepreneurship, technocrats and professionals, those who are beacons and movers in their chosen career. It will be interesting, inquiring, exciting and inspiring. Front runners that you may know role models who drive society.
Hello dear viewer, welcome to this week's edition of Front Runners. My guest is Engineer Sir Boniface Loving Chukwuma Okoro, a Knight of the Catholic Church and a two-time brewery manager of the Nigerian Breweries Limited. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, could you tell us a little brief history of your childhood and educational background?
Well, I started school very close to here at Onhoro, St. Jude, it was called there. And because my father was a teacher, I was moving with him to different schools where he was teaching. One of the last places I stayed with him was at Alai, St. Joseph. Thereafter, because when I was in standard 4, I exceeded the schools where he was headmaster, so he sent me to the Michael School, Umuahia. That's where I start my standard 6. Thereafter, I had to go to Bishop Shanahan for my second school education. And in Bishop Shanahan, it was a unique place of studies. And there, besides the normal sciences and arts subjects, we had the privilege of doing technical drawing, which I did for 5 years, woodwork for 5 years, and those who came after me did metal work also. So by the time you finish in that school, you already can decide what profession you are going in. And it wasn't a surprise that I came out and was good in all my science subjects and was able to go to the engineering classes. After going through Nigerian College in Enugu for 2 years, where we did the advanced levels. So in Zaria, a 3-year course, in mechanical engineering, I was in the mechanical engineering class, and at the end, where I graduated as second class upper mechanical engineering. In fact, I was the best student in my class from the first year of the engineering course till the last year. Thereafter, in fact, I had a very brief stay with Shell for 3 months, but I was invited by Associated Electrical Industries in Britain then to come and do my postgraduate training there, so that I can now use my knowledge there as a mechanical engineer when I come back to Nigeria. So when I was doing that course, I did so many other courses. In fact, I did part-time courses in management, in all sorts of things in order to beef up myself. And in the end, I got my Institute of Mechanical Engineers certificate A and B, which was a little difficult for some people then. And eventually came back to Nigeria and then be employed by Nigerian Breweries Limited. We had only a very short time before the war started. And at the end of the war, then I started the real career in Nigerian Breweries as a trainee manager. From there I went on to become departmental managers in the utility department, in the production department. And at the end of about 4 years, and I was earmarked to go and do a course in brewing so that I can aim at being a brewery manager. I went back even to school because I didn't do chemistry as a subject when I was in the secondary school. So I had to go and do chemistry as a separate subject, and then started to qualify to go for my master's in brewing, which I did later on in Birmingham. Took 1 year in Birmingham, and then I came back and then joined the Nigerian breweries again as a production manager.
Following your narrative on your childhood and your educational background and attainments, did you at that time believe that you are going to be a successful man?
I was aiming to be a successful man, actually. And I worked very hard to try and attain it. And I was also consoled because all my results from the very first day I went to school till I graduated were always excellent. I was always the best student in my class. So that performance gave me the encouragement that I should struggle and become a prominent person in life. For example, when I was a student, I used to apply to companies for my industrial training. And they always looked back and said, sorry, we can't take you, we don't have the position. So that made me, in fact, work very hard so that I passed very well in my examination so that nobody will use that as an excuse for not employing me. In fact, it worked out that when I now wanted to work, many people were looking for me because of the excellence that I exhibited in my certificates.
Does your position or efforts through hard work to achieve the goals you achieved show that hard work is the only route to success?
Obviously. First of all, I don't believe in luck because there are people who think that they are lucky. They can get something that they didn't work for. I don't believe in luck. I believe that whatever you are going to achieve, you must work very hard for it, and you must also sacrifice for it. Let me give you an example. When I was in the from standard 4 to standard 6, standard 4 we had about 10 people who were going to school with me. In standard 5 there were only 2, and in standard 6 I was the only person who was going to school from Isieke to the township. Those people dropped off because they had other attractions, but I knew that it was only through hard work and studying that I can achieve the apex of my ability.
Are there any incidences in your school life you could reminisce or remember that guided you on to become what you are?
Yes. If I can put my part 1 exam in as mechanical engineer, as an engineer, student engineer. In that exam we had 19 students in that class, and it was made up of a group of people who studied part 1 for 2 years and failed it, those who started for 1 year and failed it, and then us who were the new entrants. In that class, I still came out first, the best student of the engineering class of that year. In fact, at that time, because I went to Mcltv University, at that time we were still being a branch of Ibadan University. And at Ibadan today, there is a brain register where the brains of this country are registered. And I'm proud that my name is there.
Do you see such studies, especially the technical subjects, or what we call today the sciences,
Yes.
to be the stepping stone that catapulted you into achieving such great feats?
Yes. It's important to realize that besides hard work, you also have to be experts in certain areas. Because it is now obvious that science is the driving force in the world, which you can typify particularly what has happened in the IT departments of the world, that it is science that is driving it. And when I knew that I was good, particularly mathematics, it doesn't upset me these days that children are afraid of mathematics, but it's the best subject. But you have to be logical, you have to be persistent, you have to be patient also, to be able to follow it clearly and systematically right from the infant classes. If you don't get the background well when you are in the nurseries, you miss it all, because that is where you lay the foundation of being rational, being knowing your formula and remembering them, and being hardworking. So I advise everybody who is studying to try and become scientific. I know that we also need geography, history, and the rest of them. But science is the main thing in the world now to give us a solution to most of our problems. Like, for example, in the research field, there is very little work we are doing to find out new technologies, new ways of doing things, mechanizing our systems, or even trying to produce our own food using our own equipment. We cannot progress if we do not do this. And we lack the background because we don't have any steel industry that will produce the parts that we will need. And things have gone so sophisticated that I get worried really how we can take off. And to make it worse even, the foreign exchange makes it impossible for you to be able to buy technology. We used to say that we were importing technology before, but now the cost of that technology is well above what you can afford. So it means that we have to start on our own, on a small way, building it up and trying to build our technology on our own. Because their own, we cannot purchase anymore.
Sir, let us return to your experiences in the Nigerian breweries. What will have been, tell us a little bit about the surge for you to becoming a brewery manager in the breweries.
Well, I started, as I said, as an engineer, and when I trained, eventually I became the chief engineer of Abba Brewery, because that's where I did most of my work as an engineer. And it was because of the training system we have in the brewery. They recognized that I was not only concerned about the technical or the engineering aspects of the brewery, I was also interested in what was happening in the other departments, about their microbiology, about their biochemistry, and the rest of them. And even when we were doing our own internal classes, I was above all the other people, even who were brewers, about knowledge about their own area. I think that is what made them feel that it's better to save me to go and become a brewer. And from there, I now went to Birmingham and became a brewer. And even when I came back then, I had so many records to my achievement, because in my first year of working as production manager in Nigerian breweries, I made the target of that brewery. It was built in 1949. It was only in 1980 that it made its target the first time, because I was the production manager. And how did I do it? The other people will sit in the offices. When I start up in the morning, I'll make sure that I saw every part of the process going on, so that people do not come to my office to complain about their problems. I saw them on the line and then solve their problem as I was going on. And in the afternoon, before going back to my desk, I did the same. And when you chase people up like that, you find one thing. That person will complain. You know, it's a line process. This person is there, this person is here, the other person is there. That person who is here complaining that this other person is not working for him to push the product is the man who is causing the bottleneck. Tackle him or train him so that he knows how to do, so that the line will be moving. So all this added up to my able to make that production target. And when you make a target, you know what happens? Everybody in the whole brewery gets another the 13th salary for that year, and they give you products and everything. It's a celebration, because they use it now to make sure that every of their branches are working very well. So from there, then I was then earmarked to go for being the brewery manager in Kaduna, which I did for 3 years. And then I was there, and then I said I should leave everything about brewing and go to be a development manager of the company. I was not very happy about it because I didn't see the relevance between the development manager and the brewing, which I was already expert. But later on, when I went there, I saw that it was another step for me to go into management and then become get higher in the company. In fact, I started the farm at Bakoji for the company, and I was there at a very unique time in the brewery, when the brewery was forced to use as much local raw materials as was necessary. So I was at the center of the production of this local raw material, the maize, the sorghum, and the rest of them, so that our utilization of local materials could increase. And all this were because of my background between the brewing and the mechanical engineering that I did, that I was able to push all this. Even the export trade, I was also involved in export trade. In fact, it was my ideas in export trade that took Star, Gouda, and our products overseas, both to London and to America. So, but later on, I was now told to come back to Aba and be the brewery manager. That was when my retiring age was coming near, so that I now finished at Aba as a brewery manager before I retired. And recently, Aba Brewery had a very big expansion. In fact, it's now 150% of what that brewery was when I was there. And to make it even more strategic, it is now more modernized, computerized. There were departments where you use about 25 people to run the department, but only 2 people now sit behind the computer and they do everything. Because you don't do any more manual operations anymore. The computer does it for you. And the brewery has improved quite a lot.
You are in your narrative as well. You talked about your faith in God.
Yes.
What religious faith do you profess?
I am a Catholic.
Has your Catholicism have any impact in your life as regards to what have been your achievements in life?
My religion has been very, very useful for me, because I started very early. My father was a Catholic teacher. I started very early being Catholic. In fact, I have a record of being confirmed when I was 6.5 years old. You know, many times they say people have to attain the age of reasoning before they receive this sacrament, but they saw that my brilliance was enough for me to sustain that religion. So, and throughout my working life, it affected me very, very strongly, because I knew what was right and wrong, and I can distinguish when I'm doing something bad or when I'm doing it well, in order that it be perfect. That helped me a lot, because if you are doing something and you are just doing it for achievement's sake, it doesn't go on well. But when you want to make it perfect, you want it to be perfect. And our Father said, as Jesus Christ said, be perfect as the Heavenly Father is perfect. So it makes you put in everything you can to make sure that you achieve the highest thing you can do.
You are also seen to be a knight of the Catholic Church.
Yes, I'm a knight of the Catholic Church. In fact, I'm a Papa Knight, which is the highest of the knighthoods in the Catholic Church.
What are the values of knighthood in the Catholic Church?
I'm also a knight of St. John International. Well, let me take one of the Knight of St. John International. In fact, in the Catholic Church, you really don't choose to be a knight. You have to be observed by somebody who says, this person is behaving well, he's up to a standard where we can admit him into the knighthood. That's how the Knight of St. John goes. The one of the Papa Knight to be frank with you, I don't know how I qualified, because I was there and my bishop called me and said, you are now a knight of the Catholic Church, Papa Knight. It's a mystery for me, and I'm sure everybody else who is a Papa Knight knows that he did not think about it. It was always a surprise to him. So, but it must have been because of the achievements of the person in life and the public example you give by your life that merits you that type of dignity.
In the early days of world history, the knights were known as men of chivalry.
Yes.
For the Catholic Church.
Yes, correct.
In this present modern time, are you still on the part of chivalry, or are you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
In fact, those days it was the chivalry was interpreted in going to wars, like the Knights of Jerusalem. They stopped the Turks from coming into Jerusalem and the infidels and the rest of it. But the type of fight that a knight has to do now is enormous, because first of all, by your own life, you show that there is a benefit for being good as a person. Because there's so much bad scandal from people, bad people who are getting rich by stealing, and our own children are imitating them, or those who publish falsehood in order to get either political fame or something. So that life that you live shows other people that it's good to be good. And in fact, knighthood is something that people should endeavor so that they can get live as they should do. Fighting evil in the society, for example. That's one of the things that the knights have to do. And pressing for justice. One of the problems we have in Nigeria today is that those who should stick out for what is right do not do that again. So when things are going wrong, they don't come in public and condemn it, they condone it, and evil keeps overtaking us instead of good improving us.
Well, viewers, we go in for a break. When we come back, we are still here with Sir Engineer Boniface Loving Chukwuma Okoro.
Front runners, hosting personalities and issues that matter. Business, academics, entrepreneurship, technocrats and professionals. Those who are beacons and movers in their chosen career. Front runners, that you may know role models who drive society.
Welcome back. We are still talking with Engineers Boniface Loving Chukwuma Okoro, Knight of the Catholic Church. Sir, the Catholic Church which you belong to was at a time in an arrangement of partnership with the Abia State government to run and manage the modern ceramics in Umuahia.
Yes.
And you were one of the top negotiators for these arrangements.
Yes.
10 years on, the arrangement of partnership has not been achieved, and modern ceramics has been there on a state of comatose. What went wrong?
Well, when I joined the modern ceramics, it was past the design stage, and I went there as a consultant engineer and also a manager in order to help that we can bring that company on operation. The modern ceramics had a perennial problem because the equipment that were ordered to start up the ceramics again was going to produce products which were not so very popular in the market. So when we called in a financial expert and he did all the calculations and the rest of them, if we went on producing exactly what the machines could do, it would take years before the thing breaks even. So he now suggested, and we adopted it, that we should import just a part of the equipment that we require, rather than the products of the company can go into the Nigerian market. And because the tires are not very, very popular, nobody is doing any building now without using tires, so that we can now be able to break even in a shorter time. Now that came the financial aspect, because the loan that we already had accumulated was a lot. So to be able to borrow again to bring in this equipment became a very big problem. Now even we went to the extent of getting a Nigerian entrepreneur or a Nigerian company that can now take over and give us the technical advice so that we can start up again. But that didn't work. And eventually there was another company from overseas who were brought in to come and displace us. Then we left. But it's a very unfortunate situation, because that company could have been employing a lot of people and producing the products which are very well needed now in the country. And I gather that the state has taken back this company because they were also the shareholders of the Modern Ceramics at that time.
Back to your days in the Nigerian breweries, and being a 2 or 3 time brewery manager, you must be having a lot of drinks.
Yes.
Are you still drinking?
Why not? I always told, when I go to my doctor, I say this and that, insinuating that they will say I should stop drinking. He said, no, Boniface, I cannot tell you that you shouldn't drink, but what you will do is drink 1 bottle of beer every day if you need it, because excessive drinking is not good. Even when I was working, I was not drinking in excess because I knew the effects of alcohol. And many people who work in the brewery, you may think they are drunkards. They are not. Drinking is very well controlled. In fact, if you drink in the brewery in a place and time when you should not, you get sacked on the spot. So I drink, and but I do it in moderation.
Do you advise that an average person should be able to take at least 1 or 2 bottles in a day? Would that be beneficial to his health?
1 bottle, I can say. The second one is a risk, because when you go to the second one, you also go into maybe a third one. You know, if you drink with a group of people, that's what we say, one for the road. You are doing one for the road until you are taking seven bottles. So, but it's good to control the amount of beer that you drink. It's healthy, also helps you to sleep very well, but don't go in excess.
Yeah, your lifetime or your career path in the breweries was such an enviable one of achievements. Right now, what we are talking about is, in the front runners, is for you to mentor people through people listening to your life and all that. Who were your own mentors? Who were your role models? Who made you become what you are?
When I was a student, I had Dr. J.O.J. Okeze as my main mentor. He was a medical doctor then, and I was always close to him. In fact, whenever he was going on scientific conferences, he always took me along, even though I was a student. So, and I learned a lot from him. Hard work, persistency, being tough also. And so this is, I just took him as a person I could rely on. For example, during my student days, I was studying far into the night. And usually, at that time, we had so many cases of people who are called brain fags. So I was wondering whether I will develop brain fag. by working so hard and so long. So I wrote him a letter, and being a busy man, he only sent back a reply to me. He said, work never kills. And in fact, that is my principle today. Those three words. Work doesn't kill. In fact, it makes you stronger. It makes you sit up. And you see the result, because there's no effort you put that does not yield a fruit. But when you hope that you are going to get something without working for it, then you are only working on chance.
Yeah, but Joe Kazie later become a minister, a politician,
yes,
and all that.
Yes.
You never dived into position. But before I ask the question on that, did you, in your brewery industry, who were your role models that inspired you to achieve those goals you looked up to?
Well, I will not. In the brewery, you look at the hierarchy of those who are working and what they have gone through. We had Ohiwere, for example, Felix Ohiwere, and we had Mcltv. Two of them became managing directors of the company. Those were people who were looking up to, and whatever was happening to them, because also at our own time in the brewery was when it was indigenized. In fact, in the engineering department, we drove back all the expatriate engineers throughout all the branches of Nigerian breweries, and they expected they would come back when the brewery will collapse, but it didn't. We worked very hard and kept on making the company even more progressive than when they were there. In fact, that's the major thing we achieved at my time in the Nigerian brewery, indigenizing the people, the workers. And it reached a stage where there was no substantive white skin in Nigerian breweries, right up to the managing director. But there were a lot of changes, and particularly in the structure of the company when Henneken took over. It became international. So people come from different places now. The last one was a Frenchman. This man is coming now from Burundi, who is in charge. So it became international. So we couldn't control it within the Nigerian context. So these were the people we were looking up to. And knowing also the training ability and capacity of the company made you confident that whatever you are training for will materialize into success. Also important, I found, as you will not find in many other industries, that your achievement is recognized, your capacity is recognized. Even as an engineer, when I have a problem in my section or with a system, and I try to solve the problem, I can feed my solution into the center, and they send it all over the world as a solution for such a similar problem. And it gives you confidence that you are working in a very good organization that admits new ideas and then can really make you feel that you are improving the organization.
Back to Joe, your mentor.
Yes.
He became a politician.
Yes.
And moved on in the arena of politics.
Yes.
Became a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yes.
So why didn't you join your mentor on that platform?
I've never been political. That's the problem with me, actually. I've never been political. I don't know why I do not like politics. Maybe because particularly politics in Nigeria is not a very easy game for honest people. I have to be frank with you, because if you are honest and you are just depending on achievement, you don't get anywhere in politics. And during that time I was working, I was seeing myself progressing very well in my own professional career. So I didn't see any need for becoming political. But my friend, Dr. Okeze, eventually, after the war, he became the Minister of Agriculture. In fact, he introduced the Agricultural Research Institute that you have now around Umuahia and all over the place, which is very good for all of us.
Now that you have retired, where have you retired into?
Well, since that time I've been doing consultancy for many industries around here. Those who are interested and call me to come and help. Done, and many of them are personal enterprises where you get you try to push your ideas and sometimes they do not go through. And one problem I see, and it's still existing now, is that it's nearly impossible for you to run any industry here. Because that was my specialization. Because the electrical supply is completely unreliable. And everything you are going to do depends on electricity. Secondly, the cost of money has gone so high that to be able to get all the money required to be able to keep the place going has become a Herculean task. So I really have pity for anybody who is running an industry. I don't know whether in other parts of the country, but in this area where we are living, because all the odds are against you. If I take the example of Nigerian breweries, since I was chief engineer in 1978, has always produced its own electricity. It doesn't depend on the generated power of NEPA. In fact, they only connect one or two equipments to NEPA as a token or as a symbol that we are connected. So we generate our own power right through, or else you cannot run. And that's what the company is still doing. Even now, they now run on gas turbines, which they are now using to run their molten plants in Obohia. And from there, they ferry the electricity back into the brewery. Electricity is a very important parameter for any industry to run. You cannot run without it. So whatever improvements we are aiming at that does not improve our electrical supply, we'll be wasting our time.
Sir, do a flashback on your golden moments in life.
Yes.
What are your greatest joy of achievements?
My greatest joy of achievement is really especially my academic achievements were really spectacular. And more so, the record that I set when I was working were symbolic. And it gives me joy when I go back thinking about it.
You're a family man?
Yes.
What's your family like?
I'm married, but my wife is late. But I have 4 children. 2 of them are overseas now. And 3 of them are graduates. The last one is still very young. So they are struggling, and they also learned a lot from me. Because like my first daughter said, when he came to visit me, he said, you always be busy. You're always doing something. And that is what everybody should be. The rest you have is a change of what you are doing. If you are studying and you go out to play football, is a change. But rest doesn't mean go and lie down on your bed and not do anything. So that is my principle in life. Always keep yourself very busy.
Did any of your children acquire these genius-like achievements educationally, just as you did?
Not as brilliantly as I did, because they are handicapped because of the environment. At that time, there were very few of us also, and we could really shine out in specific areas. But my son did agricultural production. The other one did economics. The other one did mass communication. So, but they are struggling and making their life comfortable.
In spite of all these achievements, do you have any regrets about life?
Yes. What I can call regret in life is that I always saw myself in society, an individual that succeeds. But when you take your group and the environment in which you are growing, you see you are going backwards. That is the biggest surprise I have in my life. And you expected, like we did when we were young, that things will be getting better in future. But every day you see things are getting much more difficult. So it does upset me a lot that we are not leaving some hope for those that we are growing up, so that when, as they are growing, they have something to look forward to. For example, in research, no country progresses without research. In the last 2-3 years, I have not heard anything that came out of our university or out of our system that this is something new that was developed which can contribute to the good life of our society. If we go on like that, instead we'll be consuming foreign technology and going backwards. We will only be consumers and not producers of anything. It gives me an obsession, because I thought by now we probably could have been aiming at being in the moon. I'm not joking. I'm not joking, because a lot of work is required for people. And the environment also is important. Also, the acknowledgement you give to those who succeed is important for young people to aim at. Moreover, even acknowledging that they are achieving something is important, so that they will now, as they are going, try to improve the society.
Sir, what's your philosophy of life and your worldview?
My worldview? My worldview is very, very, very broad, in the sense that I look at the world as a very growing thing. It's changing every day, in fact. As somebody says, the only thing that is strange is change. You keep changing, and the things that are changing in the world, particularly scientifically, when you think about the internet and all this, you see a world that is becoming smaller. Because we used to call it a mini village, but Facebook and all the rest of them have made it even smaller, that you can talk and communicate with people as a matter of seconds, and they are already talking with you. So this is my hope, that we shall try and indigenize some of these things, so that we can be proud that it's coming from us, or contributing at this point to what other people have already achieved.
What do you have as advice to our young generation that are looking up to the elderly ones for direction, especially in the area of discipline, hard work, and honesty?
First thing is education. Everybody should aim at educating people. Education has so many aspects, like the academics and the rest of them. The biggest of the education that I find very difficult is the education that parents are giving their children at home. It's very lacking, and that is the reason why we have so many social abnormalities in life, because people do not bring their children up, giving them the right mentality, the right attitude to hard work, to teaching them that religion and miracles that will solve their problem. It doesn't help us. So my advice is that people should depend on hard work. One, hard work always pays, and be honest. In fact, the biggest one of the big problems about running any industry is dishonesty. The people steal the place virtually down, without realizing that when the place closes down, they themselves will also lose their job. Honesty is a very important parameter in life, that people should know that it's important that people are honest, in order that things can move forward. And hard work is what I tell everybody to embark on. It never disappoints you. And do everything well in order that things will improve. And try to remove the bad aspects that you have, so that our life can get better.
As I'm about to wind up on this program, sir, as a staunch Catholic,
yes,
which Catholic song cheers or inspires you most? Kindly sing or chant it for us.
My soul doth glorify the Lord, who is my Savior. Rejoice, for who am I, that God has shown show me favor.
Thank you, viewers. We've come to the end of this program. Until we meet again next week with another interesting personality, have a wonderful week.
Front runners, hosting personalities and issues that matter. Business, academics, entrepreneurship, technocrats and professionals. Those who are beacons and movers in their chosen career. Front runners, that you may know role models who drive society.